It's true. Manchester United wants Sandro Tonali. Sandro Tonali wants out of Newcastle, has been reported. A lot of top clubs are looking at him. But with Manchester City prioritising Elliot Anderson as favourites to get him, Manchester United could use this opportunity to sign who I think is a better player in Sandro Tonali. We're going to talk about all the latest on him because there was a report last night about Tonali, but there's so many reports that have come out in the last hour adding to this news story. We've got updates on Carrick. Carrick's chances of getting the full-time job. Gary Neville has spoken out about things he's heard. Luke Shaw speaks about Carrick and the impact he's made. But Ancelotti, Manchester United's new manager plan is clear. The type of manager they want is clear. We're going to talk about Ancelotti, Tuchel more. And, we might as well laugh at Liverpool. So, hello, and welcome back to Alex Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news, transfer news, and update roundup show, where we're going to round up all the latest Manchester United news into 10 minutes for you guys. And before I get into the news, and I promise I'll be quick, I want you guys to answer what colour lighting you think looks better, because I can put these in front of my lighting. So this is the original, which is making me look really pale right now. We've got like a pinky colour. There's also a red colour, which I was going to use for Man United, but the red makes me look really rough, and I can't find it right now. There's a pinky colour. There's a purpley colour. There is a yellowy colour. Why am I saying yellowy colour? It is yellow. A yellowy colour. And then we got a green. And I just wondered, what lighting out of all of these you think looks best? I don't like that. I feel like I look like I'm going to vomit with that. I just wondered what kind of colour light you think looks best. I also have a blue and a red, but that's all the way over in another drawer, and I forgot to bring that out. So, just intrigued to know what lighting you guys prefer. Natural, colour. I've got more lighting, and I've actually got some stuff to go in my background, because I actually am building a studio, and I actually have been for 3 weeks, but your girl is really bad at putting up a shelf, so I'm actually waiting for my stepdad to come over and put up a shelf, and I'm going to get a backdrop for my videos. But yes, and also I know I look very rough today, and the lighting isn't doing any favours. But let's dive into the news. Let's dive into the story, because I've been waffling for 2 minutes. Manchester United have put Sandro Tonali high on their shortlist ahead of the summer midfield rebuild. So that was said by Mike McGrath last night. As we spoke about in my stream last night, Mike McGrath is generally a pretty credible journalist, doesn't actually say loads and loads, which I think is a good thing. But then there's journalists that like to put something out about Man United every week, so then it kind of comes made up and repetitive because there isn't news every week. Whereas Mike McGrath kind of pops up here and there, but when he does pop up, other journalists then start talking about it a few days later. Mike McGrath was the first journalist to say we are going in for Mbeumo and that we're serious about Mbeumo, and he's now, the first to really talk about Tonali. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the Tonali deadline day agent links to Arsenal. I think there was always going to be rumours of Man United and Tonali because we want a Prem-proven DM, and that is Sandro Tonali. We were linked to him when he was in Italy, and he now wants to move. His agent is offering around clubs. I think we were always going to be looking at that. But for me, I think we should prioritise Tonali. But let's dive into the news. Man United have a preference to sign someone who is Prem-proven to replace Casemiro this summer, and Sandro Tonali is viewed as one of the most attractive options ahead of the transfer window. I think Sandro Tonali is the closest you could get to Declan Rice. I think he's better than Elliot Anderson. I think he's better than Carlos Baleba, and I don't think he's been at his best this last 2 months, but I think Sandro Tonali is probably the best person we could sign. I generally believe that, with a bit of realism. He's 5'11". I would ideally like someone over 6 inches because losing Casemiro and losing, 6 feet. He's 5'11". I'd rather have us sign someone over 6 feet just because we're losing Casemiro. We might be losing Maguire, who are aerial threats, and I don't think we have a big aerial presence. But I think as a player, Tonali is so complete, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we're now looking at Tonali. That is true. Man United are now ready to look at Sandro Tonali. Sandro Tonali is set to be at the centre of summer transfer battle with United, Arsenal and City all monitoring his availability. The Magpies are believed to value Tonali between 80 and 100 million. Tonali for 80 million, bish, bash, bosh. Wow, boom, 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 boom. Lovely stuff. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, one thing we know is obviously many reports have come out saying that Tonali wants to move. Newcastle look unlikely to get UCL football, which means they might have to sell with PSR, although they did get all that money for Isak, and that means it's harder for them to keep Tonali. I think Newcastle's focus will be keeping Bruno Guimaraes, and I think they may let Tonali go, they may even let Gordon go. And Tonali's agent has started offering around the club. So Tonali wants to move. His agent's offering around to clubs. Newcastle probably won't get UCL football, so the chances of getting him are higher, especially if we get UCL football. Now, what's interesting is Tonali wants to move, and I'm worried he's going to go to Arsenal, but they've got Superman there, Declan Rice. So does Tonali want to be another Eze? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not guaranteed. Whereas at Man United, you're guaranteed. And it looks like Man United are now looking at Tonali. Like, Manchester United look like they're ready to do it. Man United have always been Baleba, Ward and Anderson. All of a sudden, Man United found out, well, Tonali's available. And they're like, well, if Tonali's available, like, we should be ready. If he picks us, we should be ready. We have to compete with City, we have to compete with Arsenal. But I feel like Man United are like, okay, we're going to add Tonali to that list. Man United are ready to sign 2 top midfielders. Man United are ready to go out and sign 2 top midfielders, and Tonali's been added to that list. And I think that's exciting. Look, there's a possibility he stays at Newcastle. There's a possibility the media could exaggerate the rumours of Tonali wanting out of Newcastle. And who's to say he was leaving Newcastle for Manchester United? I feel Arsenal was a higher possibility of him going back to Italy. A lot of reports say he just wants to go back to Italy. There's always reports about Tonali being homesick, but they've only ever come out from Italian media rather than British media. British media's kind of downplayed those reports. But what I will say is I think Tonali's better than Anderson and better than Baleba. I know he's dropped off these last 2 months or 3 months for Newcastle. Maybe his head isn't there. But Tonali's ground coverage, his defensive ability, I think his ability on the ball, he really freed up Bruno Guimaraes. I think Bruno Guimaraes has played his best football thanks to Tonali. I think Bruno Guimaraes is the better player of the two, but I think Tonali is so key in Newcastle's Champions League run last season. I think he was immense, particularly in those big games. Anyway, continuing on into manager news and talk. Luke Shaw said that Michael Carrick has made lots of difference, but for me, the biggest one is he knows the club and he knows exactly what's needed to win football matches, to make everyone happy and to enjoy what we're doing. And I think you can be a good coach, but to survive at Man United, you need to be a good manager. You need to be a good man manager. You need to understand the club. You need to understand that we need to take risks to win. And I like how we were 1-0 up against Tottenham and Michael Carrick didn't park the bus. Michael Carrick said, get a second. He was annoyed that we were taking so long to get a second, whereas I feel like Amarin would be 1-0 up against 10-man Tottenham and he'd park the bus and invite on pressure. I like that Michael Carrick seems to know the club and I think he seems to manage the players well. So there has been talk of maybe Michael Carrick getting the job full time, but it looks like INEOS's plan is clear and that could be going in another direction. Carrick is only in charge to the end of the season. That may change if results continue to be impressive, but United are determined to hire a proven coach who can make the team challenge for Prem and UCL titles. Tuchel and Ancelotti stand out as strongest options. Mark Golden did say if things keep going the way they're going, then Carrick will be a clear favourite. But what Man United want, and INEOS's plan is quite clear, is proven elite level managers. Tuchel, Ancelotti. And Gary Neville even said on Sky today, Manchester United have begun the process of looking for a new permanent manager. The club will wait until the end of the season before making an appointment. If Michael Carrick wishes to put himself forward, he would be included in the list of graduates within the process, and that we would potentially look at Michael Carrick. But we have begun the process of looking for a permanent manager. Even though Carrick's won 4 in a row, Man United are going out then they're looking, can we get an Ancelotti? Can we get a Tuchel? Which is the right thing to do. I like Carrick. I hope we keep winning games, but we still got to look at other managers, even if Carrick wins every game, and just interview other managers just to consider it. I think if Carrick wins every game, you probably have to give him the job, but you still need to have other managers that are interviewed, considered. And my mindset is kind of this: if Carrick gets top 5, he gets UCL football, and you're choosing between Carrick and Glasner and Iriola, you have to give the job to Carrick. If Carrick gets top 5, but Ancelotti wants the job, that's when it becomes more of a difficult decision, because you go, well, Ancelotti isn't Iriola. So yeah, Michael Carrick will maybe be included if he wants to. If he does a good job as interim, he maybe will be included. But yeah, Man United's plan is clear, and that is looking at top-level elite managers. They are looking at other managers. The downsides for Tuchel and Ancelotti is that we'd have to wait for the World Cup to be over, and it means they couldn't come in till late July, which means pre-season starts later. They have less time with the squad. They have less time at the club. It's just a lot more difficult for them. And I think that's the one fear if we do bring in someone like Ancelotti or Tuchel, whereas Carrick has been here and already, done the groundwork and knows the players. It's an easier transition. Or even if you go to a McKenna who works, very similarly to Carrick. If you go to McKenna or you keep Carrick, it's a very easy transition. Whereas I think if you wait for Tuchel Ancelotti, it's a bigger transition and it happens late, and we may be less prepared. It's the only downside, but I mean, Ancelotti's elite. And then I thought we'd end by looking at the Prem table. 5 points above Liverpool. They spent 400 million. They won the league last year, and we're 5 points above them. Look at those green ticks. 4 wins in a row. Can we make it 5? West Ham is next. Thank you for watching, people. See you next time. Bye.